The Netflix series Afterlife follows Tony Johnson, a grieving widower who, following the death of his wife Lisa, has become depressed and suicidal. Tony takes on a new worldview, thinking that because he could kill himself whenever he wanted, his behavior would have no negative effects on him. This leads Tony to constantly speak his mind in very blunt and harsh manners. Tony's only true friend is his dog Brandy, and everyone else around him must suffer from his cynical worldview. Tony works for the local newspaper, the Tambury Gazette, where he constantly takes advantage of his sympathetic boss and brother-in-law Matt. Tony's co-workers at the Gazette include photographer Lenny, who Tony constantly mocks for his appearance, and Kath, who Tony mocks for her boring interests and stories. When the Gazette hires a new, upbeat reporter named Sandy, her positivity and passion for her job leads Tony to reevaluate some of his cynicism. In his darker moments of depression, Tony befriends a drug addict named Julian in order to try heroin. Tony learns that Julian had also lost the love of his life, and his own depression had driven him deeper into his drug addiction. Tony ultimately supplies Julian with money to buy enough drugs to overdose. Tony is seeking help for his mental health, but that does him little good as his psychiatrist proves himself to be pretty incompetent. He does, however, receive some inspiring words of advice from a widow named Anne he meets at the cemetery. As Tony grows throughout the season and finds comfort in the support of his friends, he begins to reevaluate his cynical view on life and realizes that a person's limited time on Earth meant they should spend it helping others. Although Tony takes this a step further and vows to continue being cruel to those who deserve it. With his newfound positive outlook, Tony ends season 1 performing acts of kindness for those around him. He pays compliments to his co-workers, he writes a front-page story on an eccentric local man named Brian who is obsessed with making it into the paper, he leaves a gift for his awkward postman Pat, befriends and shows respect to a kind-hearted sex worker named Daphne, shares a touching moment with his ailing father Ray, who suffers from dementia, and even asks his father's nurse Emma out on a date. In season 2 of Afterlife, Tony is continuing his attempts at being a better person, but his life is no less complicated. Although he genuinely likes Emma, he still isn't fully over his wife and wants to keep their relationship at its current level. Emma, needing more from her relationship with Tony, decides to remain just friends. Tony helps set up Postman Pat with Daphne, and the two wind up complementing each other perfectly. Matt has separated from his wife Jill, and in turn begins seeing Tony's inept former psychiatrist who offers nothing but terrible advice. Kath tries to strike up a relationship with Matt during his separation, but he constantly and awkwardly rejects her. Lenny is now dating a woman named June and serves as a surrogate father to her awkward teenage son James. Lenny gets James a part-time job working for the Tambury Gazette. Also newly hired to work for the Gazette is Brian, who delivers the papers. But things are complicated for Tony at work when the Gazette's semi-retired owner Paul considers selling it. Tony manages to give a rousing speech to Paul and convince him to keep the Gazette, offering up a similar perspective as Tony's own view on suicide. The option to sell will always be there, but why not try hanging on and doing some good? In the season 2 finale, everyone comes together for a local talent show featuring performances from Brian, James, and June that Sandy gives a positive review for in the Gazette. Matt invites his estranged wife Jill and son George to the show, and the family reconciles. During the show, Tony gets a call from Emma telling him that his father Ray had died. At Ray's funeral, Anne and Paul meet and bond over the shared loss of their spouses. Still grappling with depression and suicidal thoughts, Tony decides to end his own life by overdosing on sleeping pills. But before he can, Tony is visited by Emma, who tells him that she wanted to be with Tony and was willing to move at whatever pace he felt most comfortable with. All that mattered was that they'd have each other. And that's everything you need to know before watching the final season of Afterlife. Let me know some of your favorite moments from the entire series so far in the comments below, and what are you most looking forward to seeing in the final season? Like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe to this channel for more content like it, buy some merch if you really want to help out, and that does it for me in this video, but I'll see you in the next one.